So I've got my can of Pellegrino, not sponsored by. We're here in Long Beach at the AES show 2025. It's going to be a lot of fun. Already did the keynote at, actually it wasn't too early. I was about to say this morning, but it wasn't actually that early. Did the keynote, just did a panel with Shelby, Logan, Warne, great Marc, Daniel Nelson, of course, Eric Boulanger, Stefan Brown, and it was just so much fun. So we just did that. And now we're going to go in and check out some manufacturers of some equipment. That was the worst French accent ever. Anyway, sorry about that to all our French friends. This is the great Eric Valentine. How are you?
And this is the great Warne. I'm doing great.
No, I've been a fan of yours, well, forever. From the first time I heard any of your records, we've talked about you a million times in a million videos. What I've always loved, and you probably heard me say this before, was the subtle things that I always heard in your mixes which made everything better. Like, you were the guy that taught me I could just narrow the low end just a little tiny bit in the verses, just a high end tame it, and then boom, open it up in the choruses. You know, all of your little subtle automation stuff was great, especially at a time, you know, in like the early 2000s where nothing had any dynamics anymore. Everything was just, everybody discovered the L2 and just kind of like limited it,
yeah.
You know.
Everything got flattened out.
Yeah, it got completely destroyed, and that was like the height of the loudness wars, wasn't it? But your stuff always sounded loud and proud, but always felt like it had dynamics.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I want to just be able to turn up the speakers and have it feel good, you know. That's always the final test for me. So. And
in the true tradition of the great engineers, like all the Trident guys and the Abbey Road guys, you build your own equipment.
Right. Yep, I got sucked into that rabbit hole, and I'm still doing it, and we're still building new stuff. We got a new compressor coming out, you know.
Tell us about the new compressor.
This is just the prototype. We literally got this working like 2 days ago, and it's, you know, based on another really wonderful, you know, early compressor design, the Pi compressor.
One of my favorites.
Yeah.
I used to have a pair.
Yeah, and it's such a unique approach, man. It's really, really its own thing. And so it's a compressor that's based on pulse width modulation. And so...
Say that when you're drunk.
Yeah. And it's such a weird concept. You know, I would have loved to have been in the room when they first suggested the idea of this, because it's so insane. And so the idea is that you use this very high frequency square wave. Yeah. And so in the case of the Pi compressor, I believe it's like 250,000 hertz. It's way above, you know, the audible spectrum. And it's a square wave that's basically turning the sound of the music on and off. And what happens is when the compression is triggered, it adjusts the square wave so the time that it's on gets shorter and the time that it's off gets longer. And what the end result is, it ends up quieter. But you don't hear the 250, you know, kilohertz square wave. It's a bizarre way to compress something. And it has a very, very unique sound that I always loved. But as always, it's like, it should have an attack time control, and it should have a release control, and you should be able to adjust the ratio, and you should be able...
Well, that's what you did, of course, with the Unfair Child, was basically go, hey, I love the sound of these things, but it isn't modern, so how can I give it all the accoutrements?
Exactly. Let's make it useful in the way that everybody uses compressors now. Yeah. So exactly. This is that same thing. So
amazing.
It's a pulse width modulation compressor, like a Pi, but, you know, it's got blend control, so you can do parallel compression. All the other stuff is much more straightforward. There's attack and release controls. There's a ratio control. The threshold. There's a sidechain high pass. It's slightly unique here. There's a variable link mode, so you can have a percentage of linking the left and right for stereo linking. And then
that's really tasty. Yeah.
Yeah, and
like
then the most unique thing is the shape control. And so this is a way to just sort of adjust the character of the attack and release. And it's something that was sort of available to apply when you're doing pulse width style compression. And so, you know, once the compression is triggered, the attack based on the timing that you have set, it will start to turn down at a particular speed. And what this does is it changed it. So is it going to go down quickly first and then sort of level off? Is it going to be linear, or is it going to ease into that compression? So it's that kind of a thing, and just makes it more flexible. And it's just such a cool sound. Like on vocals, pulse width, you will not find another compressor that is smoother and more transparent on vocals than pulse width. It's
So, forte-wise, it really is an incredible vocal compressor.
It is truly magical on vocals, for sure, but it's really cool on just about anything. And the other quality that I've found consistent with all pulse width stuff, you know, from the Pi and all, you know, the various iterations that I've heard, there's something unique about the high end as well. You know, I'm sure we've all experienced when you use a great sounding VCA compressor, you know, like a DX160 or something, you put it on there and it gets really punchy and aggressive, but it also gets a little darker sounding. It kind of narrows the sound a little bit. This thing doesn't do that. You can really slam it with a ton of gain reduction.
My thing was always a DBX into an 1176 because they kind of like complemented each other. One got a little bit darker, one got a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah.
So I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, and so this thing stays beautifully open in the high and actually sort of energizes the high frequencies in a really magical way. So I'm excited about this thing.
So this is a prototype. When's it going to be out?
We literally got this working 2 days ago.
Good for you.
Yeah, and so that runway to go from prototype to actual sellable product is kind of a long runway. It's a 4 or 5 month thing. There's still some tweaks to do. I got to live with this thing a little bit. I just started hearing it.
Is it optimistic to say it might be out in NAMM?
That's optimistic. It's probably more like mid 2026, something like that. Yeah.
Can I hear it?
Absolutely, of course. Totally uncompressed vocal. So this is recorded with a Beyer 160 through an old RCA tube mic preamp. But, you know, the way I capture everything now, I capture everything direct from the mic preamp, but then I also capture it through analog processing. And so I just took the direct mic preamp signal of this performance and have it set up so we can compress it. Okay, so I'm going to try and just normalize this thing out a little bit so we can start a normal spot of some sort. Okay, start here, start like that. Okay, let's see what we got. Let's see. Maybe, so, very dynamic vocal performance, right? So like, fucking explodes out of the speaker. So we're on now, we're not compressing, but now this is in line. So I'm going to turn up some ratio here. Start getting some compression on there. I'll start really clamp down. There's gain makeup. I mean, it's amazingly smooth, man. It's incredible. And it preserves all of that.
Because I was concerned about that. When it went up, I was like, it's on the verge. If it's going to add any kind of additional, you know.
Yeah. We'll just keep slamming it.
Yeah.
You know, and so it really sounds to me like somebody's riding the fader, you know, instead of hearing the artifacts of compression. It's a beautiful sound, man. So.
It's great. I used to have this Ashley compressor from the 80s.
Okay.
About the E.
Okay.
And Andy Jackson, you know Andy, did all the Pink Floyd stuff after.
Okay, yeah.
He came by my studio and he was just like, what is this? This is like kind of invisible. And I think they're really hard to find. You find like these little rare, one-of-a-kind kind of compressors that do what you say. They feel like there's the guy in the 50s riding the fader.
Yeah.
You know? And that's, yeah. And then, of course, we also like, you do stuff, of course, that's very colored as well. Like you almost want the opposite. But
yeah, there's times where you want to hear that compression and hear the grab and stuff. I would say vocals is not one of those times for me, you know?
But you've already got that because you're going through a 160 and a tube mic pre anyway, so it's already added quite a lot of character anyway. You don't want to ruin that. Yeah,
so we're doing that. The other thing that's going to be coming very soon is, and this I'll probably have out probably before the end of the year.
Nice.
So, I did a plug-in version of the Unfairchild. That took a long time. It was way harder than I thought it was going to be. Spent a year on that thing. But I think it was for good reason. We got a good result from it. We got as close to this thing as you could possibly get. And so this is a little more straightforward,
Well, it took a year because you did it. So other people probably would have given up after, a month or two and said, that's good
It's
enough.
possible, yeah.
No, I know, sir.
Yeah.
But that's what we love about you.
And I need it to be something that I'd actually use,
Exactly.
I don't want to make something and not want to use it. So that was important to me. And I do use it. It's great. This is also the plug-in version of this thing is also a really great vocal compressor.
Fantastic.
And so this thing is a little bit more straightforward, even though this original EQ. So this, Undertone started, we made a console first, and it had a 4-band parametric equalizer with high and low pass filters that was very unique. It really does things that no other equalizer does. Now the plugins have caught up to what this thing does. And so we came out in 2009. And nothing on the planet did what this EQ did.
How do you feel this is unique? In just to put you on the spot, in a crowded world of EQs, plugins, what do you think is unique about this?
Well, okay, so it does all the stuff that, because most of us probably are using FabFilter Q4, they're on iteration 4 now.
I'm still on REQ, but the same,
Okay.
Same thing,
Yeah, and which I love. I use it all the time. It's an incredible plugin. And so this thing, actually, now I'm realizing, here's something it doesn't do. So it doesn't allow you to blend between a peak shape and a shelf shape. On that plugin, and most every other equalizer on the planet, you have to switch between the two. And so we have this thing called a shape control. So you see I've boosted a peak shape. If I turn up the shape control, you'll see everything above that boost just start to come up. And it turns into a shelf shape. And if you keep turning it, it turns into all these different versions of a shelf EQ. And when you go all the way, this is what a Neve shelf looks like, where it does this little bit of undershoot first, and then it comes up. So if you take that top EQ on a 1073 and turn it up, that's what it looks like. It does that. And if you, turn up a shelf EQ on an API, it looks like that. So you can get all of those different characters of a shelf EQ.
And blend between,
Yeah. The other thing that happens is that the Q control stays active, whether you're a peak shape, because we're all used to using a Q control just to make a peak EQ wider or narrower, but it stays active when you're in the shelf shape, and it does some really cool stuff. So it will exaggerate that undershoot and create a resonance at the frequency that you've selected, and it can do some really extreme stuff like that. So the hardware really actually did all of this stuff, and all of it is derived from, RC networks, resistor capacitor networks. It's called state variable filter. And it's all just math. So it's relatively easy to get a plugin to do that part of it. And so there are plugins that can do these kinds of shapes. I don't know of any other plugins that do the blending between the peak and the shelf. But here's the thing that I'm really excited about that I added to this thing. There's going to be this little hidden area. Boop. And so each band is going to have a control for adding harmonic color to that particular EQ move. And there are some versions of it out there that have sort of dabbled in this, but I think this is going to be the version that really does it the way I need it to do.
No, it's good. There's been a lot of criticism of people making, plugins that have GUIs that look like the gear, but essentially is completely interchangeable from a stock EQ that you would use.
Yeah, and it's like,
This is what you want. You want to know that there's something that's the richness of an analog piece of equipment that's actually being incorporated.
Yeah, and so I'm working with a developer that has, a very highly evolved process for being able to capture the harmonic signature of analog equipment. He's using AI and machine learning to do it. And so, he has had it learn the harmonic signature of just the overall audio path. And so that's in there now. And what we're still working on is what I want to do for this. This also is brand new. I got the beta of this 2 days ago. You know, this was this thing where it's like the AES convention is coming up. You all have to finish your shit, so it's ready for this show. And so I was beating up everybody, going like, "Get it done!" You know.
What about NAMM? Is this one going to be ready for NAMM?
It will be ready for
Okay,
NAMM.
good.
Yes, yeah. This is much easier to bring to market because once we have the beta, all you have to do is just set up the licensing and stuff, and it's good to go.
You're not waiting there a few months for manufacturing.
Yeah, that's a more complicated process. But I'm really excited about this because it's something I've been wanting in a plug-in equalizer, and I'm finally going to have it. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's a differentiator now. We want something that has characteristic, or like you're saying, it's either fab filter, waves, or stock EQs. Why, you know?
Yeah, and there's a couple of EQs, there's a couple of hardware EQs that I use that allow you to push frequencies in a way that you can't do without the way they break up, because it's an aggressive move to do, and if it was done very literally without any distortion, it becomes really abrasive, you know. But if you have that harmonic distortion sort of smoothing things out in that range, then it's like, oh, I can get away with this, you know. Nice. And so there's like an old Orban parametric EQ that I use that does that. Pultecs are amazing for that. You can boost with a Pultec in a way that you just can't with other EQs. So I'm going to try and bake that into this plugin. Right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it could become a standard. I mean, it's especially, you know, we're increasingly given virtual instruments to work with.
Yeah.
You know, something that's actually going to add some coloration.
It needs to happen. And like, you know, I'm so used to having this sort of, you know, workflow format where I can see what the shape is, and so this is a really, really incredible spectrum analyzer that shows up. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if I play something here, let's see. Yeah.
Nice.
And so you can see everything that's going on. I need that. You know, I've been using spectrum analyzers while I'm working on music my entire life. You know, it was originally a gold-lined third octave, you know, LED bar thing, but I had that thing back in the 80s, you know, and it was always indispensable for me. And so I want to have it in front of me anytime I'm making these decisions. So yeah. So, you know, it looks like the thing, but then you have all the stuff that you need to actually get your work done.
It's amazing. Great. Well, thanks ever so much for showing us.
Yeah, cool.
Really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for coming by. Yeah.
Here with Chris at Audeze, and he is, well, how new are these headphones?
That's a good question. They came out this year.
Okay.
But it was one of those things where we're ready, we're going to ship them. Oh, we're not ready, but we've already taken pre-orders, so it took a little extra time.
Eric over there, who's filming us, hi Eric,
Hi, Eric.
is wearing a pair of them.
Yes.
Yes.
And we've been talking about getting him a pair for like 4 years. It took us so long to develop these headphones. I'm so happy with how they came out. I'm really glad they're finally here
so tell
and
us
available now. So this is the new LCD S20, basically made for tracking is the angle that we took on with them. They're made to be low fatigue, but also clear with a nice present low end and good isolation.
Sorry?
Yeah. Yeah. So great isolation,
no, they are really great isolation.
Much better sound quality than you would normally get out of a studio headphone, so that musicians tracking on the floor with open mics.
So not a pair of DT100s?
Yeah, no, they're going to get better sound, and they're going to get something that's closer to what they'll hear when they go in the control room for playback.
Beautiful. And how much are they?
They are $499 US. Yeah. You can plug the cable into either side. Doesn't matter which side, you get the same audio.
Okay, good.
And they have something cool, magnetically removable ear pads.
Nice.
So you can change them out in an instant.
Okay, because that's a big deal, because as we know, Warne AirPads completely changes the sound of them.
Yeah. And a lot of artists want clean ear pads when they go into a studio, rightly so, yeah? So, you know, now it's easy to change them out. Warren's going to enjoy his moment of peace.
It is rather wonderful, yeah. Although it's still only day one, so I haven't quite got there yet. Maybe day 3, when we're all like, we're doing another video. Yeah, no, it's beautiful. Very, very nice. So, with Tim here at Recording the Masters, how are you?
Very well. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm pretending
Good to
I
see you
haven't
again.
already seen you.
Yeah, I know, right?
Because I walked in, first person I saw
First
this morning.
person, yeah.
Like 8:30 or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fresh-faced.
Fresh-faced.
And now not.
Now not quite so fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're coming on to the end of the day
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
day one.
Yeah.
All right, so what do you got going on? You do this thing called tape.
We do. And we spoke when we were at NAMM earlier in the year, and I guess the update since then, a lot of engineers that I saw sort of last year in the US and in the UK that were like, Tim, I've got my workflow, I don't think I'll get the machines back out. In the last sort of 3 to 6 months especially, have been getting back in touch with me, saying I need tape, I've got the machine back out. And when I've asked a lot of them why, a lot of them have said, to be honest, with the rise of AI and seeing this sort of polished production, it's like, how do I differentiate myself from that? It's like, okay, I can get back to recording live in a more human way, which you don't necessarily need tape for that, but if you're tracking to tape, obviously it forces you into that, that sort of live performance, getting bands to rehearse a bit more. And so,
Just look.
that's new as well, so that it smells as well, so it's got the...
It's like when you get a brand new car.
Yeah. And the labels are starting to duplicate as well. So Rhino have just released T-Rex, Electric Warrior, and Yes, the Yes album.
What's
through
on this?
Rhino, that's Yes.
Oh, can you press play?
Yeah, yeah.
You got some Audeze, so I'm at home.
So they've released that on our LPR 90 tape, which is the same formula as the SM900, but the long play version, so that you get more tape. So they can fit a whole album on the reel, so it gives you 48 minutes. And so they've released these about 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
There you go, that's how good it is. He's having a fit.
the problem is I want to hit us to all 7 minutes when it goes into two different...
I've got time.
When they split into two sections.
Yeah.
And so you've got...
So yes, for other labels out there, you can release a whole album on tape in 48 minutes, or you can use two of the SMs and have one on each side. And of course, don't forget the cassettes, which I did last time.
Makes me happy. All right.
Sounds good, huh?
Yeah, I feel like we had this conversation in the panel, both panels we did and the keynote, about like getting back to that teenage self. You know?
Oh, really?
You know what I mean? It's just like, because people ask me all questions, how do I deal with this? How do I deal with that? How do I work with an artist? How do I do this? And I'm always like, go back to that person, you know, go back to that inner child that you have when you loved everything, you're enthusiastic and passionate about it.
Yeah.
So anything, like you're saying, if it's having a tape machine and doing that, and it just makes you feel like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
The romance of it is not a problem for me.
No.
I don't have a problem with that. I take people to Sunset Sound to track drums or track basics because they walk in there and go, wow, my favourite records were done in this room.
Yes.
And it just elevates everything. And tape can be a big part of that. Yes, there's a sonic difference in everything, of course there is. And probably as importantly, people are forced to like listen to each other a bit more.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're not going to fix me by editing.
No.
I'm actually going to have to lay back on that groove to make it nail it and make it feel good.
And that healthy pressure in a session, it's like if you play live, right? You've got that extra bit of pressure, which can make you, if you're a good musician, can make you perform better, right? Because it's sort of, you're under that pressure to get it right, especially as a band together. Sort of changes the atmosphere and you've got to get it right, and that's magic can happen in that setting, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So that's
Well, this is incredible.
Yeah.
So what's new? Because we last time we did it, we didn't end up talking about cassettes, but you make cassettes.
We do. So we've got this Type 1, you've got the 60 and the 90, and we're doing duplication as well. So a lot of the labels are using us to run, and it's increasing, and they're flying off the shelves. So as well as obviously the labels doing it, there's smaller bands, and merchandise is a big thing with it, because of course, if you sell a bunch of them as a band, to get, say, if you sell 10 for $8, to get streaming $80, that's a lot of streams. So it's good beer money for the bands, it's good merchandise, but also they sound good. And people are buying our Walkmans. We're selling Walkmans on the site.
Where's Walkmans?
We haven't got a Walkman here.
What? No!
Have a look on the website. You'll find a Walkman.
Oh, lovely. Well, Eric's going to flash it up now, aren't you? There's a Walkman here flying around.
There you go. There you go. But apart from what's new, really, is just the sales have been going up. The interest has been growing. Of course, we do all from a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 2 inch. And the main thing is the sort of studio is really getting back into it and wanting to get back to that human way of
Nice.
making a record, which
This is great because it's good for everybody. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good for people that have the skills and understand actually how to maintain
Yeah.
tape machines.
So you're saying when you go in to track the drums, you wouldn't do the sort of live performance tracking of everyone?
Oh, I would, yeah.
You would?
Yeah, I mean,
But it's got to be the right band, or?
it's a good question. Yes, I mean, but that also can be the responsibility of like, well, if you've got a budget, you can do pre-production.
Yeah.
You can spend 10 days, 2 weeks of actually working on the songs in a rehearsal situation so that when you go in to track it, you can spend time refining things, of course,
sure.
and everything, but the band are rehearsed and tight enough before
Yeah.
you even go in, yeah.
Well, I went to see a guy, David Barbie, in Athens, Georgia, who done a bit of stuff with REM and that sort of thing, and he's got tape machines everywhere.
Great.
And he got a bunch of 1 inch from a studio that closed down at the start of the summer. And he was like, what am I going to do with all this 1 inch? So he thought of all these bands that he thought could make the step up to tracking. So he called them all and said, I'm going to give you a cheap session because it's going to be shorter, because you're going to rehearse your asses off and then come in and we're just going to do 8-track, 1 inch recordings. And he said 90% of them all stepped up to the game, all came in rehearsed well, and I think that's the key, right? It's like being ready to do it. And he said the results were amazing. I think in that sort of challenge situation, and because they're getting a cheaper session, it really worked well. And I think that's
There's nothing
the sort of key,
better than
right?
the band pushing and pulling together.
Yeah.
You know, if that downbeat of that chorus has got to come in late to make it more weight, or come in early to make it more exciting,
Yeah.
and everybody's hitting it at the same time, that sounds so much better than everything being perfectly gridded.
Yes, and again, like that sort of differentiating yourself from AI seems to come back
Yeah.
a lot with the engineers that I speak to,
Yeah.
which seems to make sense, right? It's
Yeah,
like
I agree.
keep human music, which this lends itself to, for sure.
Perfect.
Okay, we are here on the floor at AES. My beloved friend Chris Yedek. Want to talk about my #1 favorite piece of gear of Audioscape is the ASA 6A or the BA 6A. Chris is going to tell you a little bit about it, but essentially, of all the gear that I've tried of all of their stuff, this is still my #1 fan favorite that I tell as many people when they ask, what's your favorite color box? That's affordable, but is like the real deal sound. And the real reason behind that is because of the guts are all real. So maybe explain a little bit more about, I mean, all the other stuff you had to kind of be creative and stuff to make things original, but this is, the circuit is not only original, but it's
It's the
all
same
the components
tubes.
are the same.
Yeah, the same 6SK7 tubes that create the compression. These black metal tubes from the 1930s and 40s, and some of them, like, you can literally see the date codes. They are that old, almost 100 years old, and
How many tubes are in here?
there's 9 tubes.
Mono unit,
Yep, mono unit,
very
9
new
tubes.
compressor. The transformers are all OG.
Yep. Yeah, and we use all the power irons, Hammond transformers, paper and oil caps like on the original. Yeah, it's really, truly, it's, you mentioned it's your favorite piece. It's also my favorite piece as well. I love this thing so much.
I think I still have the prototype. It was one of the original because it's like, it'll cut you.
Oh, yeah.
I just have to keep it, don't touch it. Don't even
Yeah,
look
the
at it.
edges will cut you, yeah. On the prototypes, a lot of them are like that. And I really love the options we added to this too, because the originals were known for being, the original BA6A, you know, RCA was known for sort of like a one-trick pony. And I think having these additional options like the threshold control, you can really, sometimes it can get heavy-handed. Having the variable attack and release are a must to make it a modern compressor. And then also a simple sidechain high pass, which is great, super flexible, and then also having the negative feedback switch.
That's like the snappy thing. What was the element you added that really like it almost gives it an overdrive
so
aggressiveness?
what it actually does is this is a negative feedback switch, and what it does is it reduces the negative feedback in the circuits, and it makes it more edgy. And you can even see, like, I mean, you know, it's already hitting harder, like a few dB harder, just by turning this on. So it's really, it's almost like the drive switch, but done differently on the VComp Plus that we have as well. it adds this edge, this high end, and almost like more grit and distortion.
It's kind of like a guitar pedal going into a compressor.
But everything you put through this just sounds better. It's just a classy, smooth. And then if you want it to get a little more hairy, you can turn that on. It's really just simply a treat. And we have the off function as well.
I think I did it was like 2.5 years ago. The video I did, it kind of demonstrates jazz and stuff, but I do think this is the ultimate vocal compressor because it's kind of sluggy and slow. It sounds like you're dipping something in chocolate. So for bass guitar, anything that you need to add like kind of volume to the signal, like the insert quality itself before you even compress is pretty big. Probably have to do with the fact that it has 1,156 tubes in it. But in general, that was my thing. So I've just dipped in real quickly to say my fan favorite is the ASA BA6A.
So we're here
We're here.
at Austrian Audio. How are you? You good?
Good, and you? Yeah.
Good to see you. You have a new microphone. Tell us all about it.
Sure, we do.
Good.
It is hidden
Hidden.
behind this very fancy pop filter.
Yeah, it's very fancy.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can disclose the secret.
Ah.
Yeah. But let's start with the simple stuff. Have you ever
Yep.
touched pop filter like this?
Oh, wow. How do we describe this? It's like, Eric, hold out your hand and touch that thing.
It is a foamed metal. It's a foamed aluminium.
Foamed aluminium. Thank you for saying aluminium.
Yeah.
What he meant to say was aluminum.
No,
So it's foamed aluminium. Yeah. I don't know if you can see it in the light. It's crazy. It literally is foam, but made out of aluminium. So it's super light, but also very sturdy.
Sturdy, super light, and the big benefit is you really don't lose any frequencies.
Right.
So it really disturbs any pops, but
Right.
you don't get any change of the frequency response, which is pretty unique because it has no frame to reflect.
It looks cool.
It looks cool, and these days important, but it was always important. You know, I've seen eventually, you know that.
Yeah.
And if you get very close to a pop filter, to an ugly pre-used one, and you're getting closer and you're really got afraid of it, this one you can put in a dishwasher and you have a fresh one every day.
Oh, wow. Easy to clean. Nice.
really
Doesn't have that smell of vomit, cigarettes.
Exactly. And it magnetically attaches to the mic.
Oh, vomit, cigarettes, and whiskey. That's what they use.
I like the later one. Right, so now that we see the
I
beauty of
don't
the
think you have enough polar patterns or... yeah, so you basically covered all the bases here.
Yeah, I mean, basically, you can, as you would expect, change in a very, very nice style, by the way.
Yeah.
Feels a little bit like an SLR camera.
Yeah.
You can change the patterns, you can
Nice.
change the attenuation, and you can, of course, have a roll-off in the low frequencies. You would expect.
Nice.
What is brand new to it is the circuitry of the electronics.
Yeah.
It's super fast.
Nice.
It's really helping you capturing transients that are there.
Right.
It's so fast that it really gets to the limit of what's physically doable on the move of the membrane to transport.
Looks gorgeous.
It is gorgeous. And
Yeah.
of course, you know, all the suspension stuff.
Yeah.
Pretty nice probably on this suspension is that it has a joint bore, so you can really easily point it
really
everywhere
nice.
you want to. Yeah.
So this is the flagship mic. This is the one, yeah?
This is the one,
Yeah.
and it completely rolls into our environment. You know, our plug-in environment. When we, for the 818, you had the dual output.
Okay.
And in this case, you really have the true dual output with two large XLRs.
Nice. So you can do the fully... You can take your polar pattern from Omni, figure of eight, hyper, super, you name it.
But after the event of the recording.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can record both captions separately. You feed it into a stereo track of your DAW.
You can also have the world's most in-phase stereo microphone.
The world's... Hey, thank you, Warne.
Yeah. Over a drum kit like this, just absolutely insane.
It is really, really precise. And then again, you can use it with the ambi creator, with the stereo creator, with the polar pilot. So it fits into the environment
Right.
of the Austrian Audio plug-in suites.
How much?
US at the moment, we are just below 3K.
Okay, that's good for a flagship mic.
Yeah.
For someone who's going to compete with all the big boys.
All the big boys, yes. We had already some nice shootouts, and I can tell you, we always came out very well.
Well, you know us, our demo, we will use it on everything. We'll do a stereo drum mic, we'll do vocals, basses, guitars, everything. We'll put it through its paces.
Let's do that.
Yeah, excellent. Well,
Looking
thanks.
forward to that.
This is really great.
Warren, great having you again. Yeah, I think it's, and apart from it's really great, it's really great.
So here's another thing, just to reinforce the sort of, don't give up part of my speech here. So I was 16, I went to Basingstoke Tech, that was what the other thing was there, and I dropped out because, I thought I wanted to be an artist like my dad. I didn't think I was. I just thought that was the only thing I could do that was okay. But I dropped out and I moved to the north of England, to Carlisle, which is like probably the least, for want of a better word, the least sexy part of England. It is not like, whoa, you're not moving to London, I'm not going to North London where all the clubs are and all this kind of stuff. I'm going to Carlisle, which is like, people move from Carlisle, they don't move to Carlisle. But I went up there and I joined club bands. And I was 16 years old, and it was an amazing baptism of fire because I'm playing covers of incredible songs every single night in working men's clubs, in bars, you name it. I remember doing a gig in Penrith in a fireplace. So I'm standing in the fireplace. The rest of the stage is about this big. That same gig, actually, the audience was attempting to push over our van and put it on its side while we were hiding in the backstage area, which you can imagine was just a corridor. But the reason why I tell this story, and the most important part of this is not the hard life struggle of Warren, but because there was a guy there who was our keyboard player. His name was Nick, and he worked at this little music store called Northern Sounds, north of England, Northern Sounds. And this kid was 19 when I was 16, so he was really old. And so I remember he would put up sheet music of Al Jarreau, sight play, sight sing, and he was just unbelievable. But this is this little thing called the internet. So I have no perspective at all. I remember being there thinking, oh my God, Nick Rimmer, if you ever see this, Nick Rimmer, I was just thinking, but in LA, there's like every guy's like this. There's like so many keyboard players that can be him. You know what? I lived in LA constantly for 28 years. I've never met a more talented musician. And I think, and don't get me wrong, there's many, but this kid was like next level. He could just sight read, sight sing, sight play, improvise his way out of a paper bag. I've never met anybody of his level. Even Zach Ray's probably about as close as he gets, and a couple of others, but you have no perspective. I did not know, he did not know. We didn't know that if he had just gone for it and gone on a plane or driven down to London or whatever it might be, that this probably could have happened for him. So I like to keep that memory because there's always that fear that all of us have, that I have, I'm sure many of you have even to this day, that, well, but there's always going to be somebody better or whatever. It's like, you know what, you don't know unless you go for it. And I love Nick dearly, but last time I spoke to him a couple of years ago, he was still playing in the local church and there's no music store up there anymore. So I don't remember what his job was, but it wasn't in music. And this is just, not a cautionary tale, but it's just a reminder that doing it is the most important thing, showing up and getting out there. So there's this guy called Ollie Alcock. He was the local guitar hero. And this guy is a lovely, lovely fellow, an incredible guitar player. And he showed me, probably the most important thing he showed me is taste. I remember he's like, well, you want to play legato? Well, there's this guy called Alan Holdsworth. You should probably check him out. We're talking about 1983 here, by the way. So you should check out this guy called Alan Holdsworth. And so I'm like, oh, legato. He's like, oh, you want to get right hand picking? Go check out this guy called Aldi Meola. Check out his right hand stuff. You want a rhythm guitar playing? Keith Richards. You want to learn proper jazz? Joe Pass. I was like, I know Joe Pass. So I remember it was like Joe Pass, Wes Montgomery, Charlie Christian. Mix it all in with, Keith Richards rhythm stuff and everything. It was like, it was all about taste. And so it's another thing is like, people hire you for your skills, yes. But these days, ever increasingly, they hire you for your taste, for your understanding of music. dun, dun, dun. I'm trying to get through this. Live Aid, 1985. Anybody remember that? That's a round of applause. Yeah, Live Aid, woo! I mean, what a great time to be alive. And there's a part of me that enjoys lamenting, but I also think it's part of a problem with me by lamenting, things used to be better, didn't they? I mean, I almost want to just stop this now and point at somebody who's visibly younger than 30 and say, what does it mean to you, this discussion? You know what I mean? Because it was a great time. It was an absolutely incredible time when music could mean that much. And I don't know that it doesn't mean that much. I almost feel like it does still mean that much if we want it to. I really do. I feel like one of the advantages, this sounds so pompous, but one of the advantages of growing up in Britain is we didn't have quite the right way of describing it, but we have a national radio station. So national radio station means you listen to the top 10 and Marvin Gaye all next to each other. And that's a beautiful thing. I remember coming to America and thinking, America's a great place for radio if you already have taste. Because I can go, you know what, I just want to listen to R&B all day today. Yeah, that's it, that's all I want to listen to. You know what, I want to listen to death metal. Oh, you can find it, whatever you want to do. But one of the disadvantages, of course, one of the advantages of growing up in Britain is we do have that national radio. So everybody has to be musically serviced, as it were. And so that was really great. And one of the beautiful things about Live Aid, whether it failed or succeeded in its mission, was the fact that it was able to marry, I wouldn't say necessarily politics, but it was able to bring people together to actually do something really, really super positive. And I think another thing when it comes to going back to the acronym is that's something that we can do as human beings. We can use our music to bring people together. We can use our music. And that's not just about being a performer, but that's about you being producers and engineers, bringing that out, help facilitate that, help make the music mean something. Because if you do, you will win. You really will.
So the more I hear your question, you're like the industry, we're talking about like being ever-changing technology and everything. So just how do you guys, do you keep any habits, anything that you do either daily or, like regularly to keep yourself inspired, excited about those changes, to pass that to people that you work with, your team, your clients?
I mean, you're a habit of routine, so of course you're going to always graduate to the next thing, but keeping the old thing going. I think it's important to have routine and habits. I mean, honestly, I've been doing the same thing. Biggest advice I've ever gotten is spend 3 years, do something for 3 years, and move on. It's a big thing to just evolve. But what happens in technology now is you kind of take stuff and move on. So if I'm doing movie albums versus albums, I'm gonna pull stuff out of that to pull into this. Or if I decide to get into film editing and do education versus these other elements, there's always cross platforms, and I think that's the cross habit you're talking about.
Yeah, I feel like if you're in a place of passion and love for music, it doesn't matter if it's the hippest, most current piece of music or something that inspires you, I don't know, by Billie Holiday. If you are really excited by something and you bring that into your session, that's great. It's really good to stay in touch with what's going on and understand all of that, but people are hiring you for, what you bring to the table, not necessarily, so you understand, this, that, and the other of whatever's the current thing, because you can find that in 10 seconds. If they say to you, well, actually, I wanted this, you can go, you can use the devil of Spotify and go and find that track and know what they're talking about. And yeah, so I think just staying inspired by loving music is my answer. Eric?
Well, this is convenient, being as though you've been to the bakery. And, the one thing that I never even thought about was obviously everything at the bakery is all custom built, and it's ergonomic for ourselves. And the one thing you don't know about is a little over 2 years ago, I broke my wrist and I was in a hard cast. Willow knows this quite well since she had to use the computer for me for the first few days, but I was without my dominant arm, and it occurred to me for the first time that I was like, shit, everything's set up for being right-handed. And I thought about it, and I was like, well, Willow's right-handed, Peter's right-handed, James is right-handed, Jet was right-handed, so we never had a problem because it was ergonomic for right-handed people. And this was the first time I was forced into being left-handed. And I realized that breakdown of oops. And so it's really the ergonomics and everything that you design, it's for yourself, because you got to realize your studio is your instrument, right? It's just like you're on stage. So always make it what you want at the time, and it will change. I guarantee you that. It will change over, it's just, treat her like an instrument.
What inspires you, Shelby?
Very similar to what you said, new music. I feel like every now and then I just take some time out and I just surf Apple Music. You know, like people talk about surfing Wikipedia, right? Where you fall down a rabbit hole and you look at different articles that then lead to other articles. I find an artist that I really listen to, and then I go into the bottom of the page and I see the other artists that are like recommended by Apple Music because the listeners of this artist listen to those artists. And I'll check those artists out and I'll go, oh, that's kind of cool. And then I'll fall down a rabbit hole and check out all of the other artists that are associated with that. And I'll just, add them all to my library. There you go, I've got a whole lot of stuff to check out. So, but it definitely keeps me inspired.
Stefan?
I'm quite lucky in that I haven't ended up being pigeonholed into any kind of genre, and I get excited from what I'm going to get in next, because I get things in every day. I remember a couple months ago I had a day where I did a film of the National Symphony Orchestra, and 30 minutes later I did a Black Note album, and that was great for me, and I will always get interesting things in. So for me it's exciting when I get a message or notification and they tell me what kind of music it is, and it's usually something quite interesting. So that for me is very exciting. And then similar to what Shelby says, I have a habit of listening to lots of music, but not for the music, but for in something sounds really cool. So and then I'm like, whoa, that is awesome. And I'll usually have people around me who says, have you heard this album? And it's basically also both from Word, it's like minus 2 lux, it's up mental. So I'll look for those kind of things and add them to a playlist, and I listen to it. I'm like, damn, this is awesome. That's kind of geeky.